In this video, I am trying to provide a brief history of cognitive behavioral therapy. Back in the late 1950s, some psychologists claimed that Wilhelm Wundt was the father of experimental psychology, who founded the first formal laboratory for psychological research at the University of Leipzig, Germany in 1879. I plan to provide in-depth training on CBT through this channel. To gain maximum out of this, please subscribe. Do not forget to click on the bell icon to receive notifications on new training vlogs or videos. In reality, what was considered as experimental psychology back in 80s, it is very far removed from today's definition. It was within the 2 decades which followed that modern psychotherapy was born through the works of Sigmund Freud. It was in 1911, after Freud's arrival in the United States, the psychoanalysis swept the field of psychiatry to the point that within only a few years, over 95% of American psychiatrists had committed to taking some expression of psychoanalytical training. The monopoly of psychoanalysis on psychotherapy lasted until the late 1970s in the US and even into the 1980s throughout Europe. In reality, the crisis that accompanied psychoanalysis regarding its capacity to give answers to changing social demands and its ability to aid psychological problems had already begun in the 1950s. This coincided with the development of new psychotherapeutic models, of which behavioral therapy played an initial starring role, first pioneered by John B. Watson. Behavioral therapy, pioneered by John B. Watson, spread rapidly throughout Europe and quickly established itself as one of the primary therapies that was able to provide practical solutions to the psychologically suffering patients. 50 years had passed since John B. Watson's pioneering work on behaviorism and its applications before a working model of behavior therapy rose to the forefront of psychological study. The reason for this was simple. Behavioral therapy was open to change, integrating and incorporating continuing research not just in psychology but also in various other scientific fields, giving rise to new expressions of psychoanalysis and other strategic interventions. The first generation of behavior therapy featured a radical shift from the previously well-established psychodynamic therapies and was then followed by a new set of innovations which took into consideration previously neglected cognitive aspects. This merging of behavioral and cognitive therapies is attributed to have given rise to the second generation of behavior therapy, which is what many people today refers to as cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT. Behavior therapy can be divided into 3 separate generations. The first generation is in part a rebellion against general therapeutic concepts of the day, the psychoanalytic and humanistic approaches. Part of this movement argued that the need for learning research was still crucial, but the research that should influence the second generation BT was human learning research that considered cognitive mediators of learning. It is the integration of the first 2 generation of BT, that is called third generation, that gave rise to the idea of CBT. Aims to modify not only human responses but also beliefs, attitudes, cognitive styles, and the expectations of the client. The advent of cognitivism in the 1960s introduced a major paradigm shift within experimental psychology. While the behavioral model had considered cognitive processes as an epiphenomenon, a new approach appeared that considered cognitive knowledge as being central importance in psychological investigation, while still maintaining a verifiable first-hand view. This led cognitive therapy to be born, with its founding fathers Beck, Shaw, Rush, and Emery, and with it also came the second generation of behavior therapy. The study of irrational thoughts and cognitive schemata of mental illness has brought to light how different errors of cognition can be prevalent in different types of patients, and for each of these errors, a variety of methods and techniques are aimed at changing negative automatic thoughts. Therefore, it is the integration of the first two generations of behavior therapy that gave rise to the idea of cognitive behavioral therapy, which is characterized by type of psychotherapy. This aims to modify not only human responses but also beliefs, attitudes, cognitive styles, and the expectations of the client. Cognitive refers to mental processes like thinking. The word cognitive relates to everything that goes on in an individual's mind: thoughts, dreams, images, memories, and attention. Behavior refers to everything that an individual does. This includes what they say, how they try to solve problems, how they act, and avoidance. Behavior refers to both action and inaction. For example, biting your tongue instead of speaking your mind is still a behavior, even though they are trying not to do something. Therapy is a word used to describe a systematic approach to tackling the problem, illness, or irregular condition. Scientific research of CBT is advancing. As a result, more is being learned about which aspects of the treatment are most beneficial for different kinds of people and which therapeutic interventions work best with different types of problems. CBT is a powerful treatment as it combines scientific, philosophical, and behavioral aspects into one combined and comprehensive approach to understanding and overcoming common psychological problems. Cognitive behavior therapy was pioneered by Dr. Aaron T. Beck in the 1960s, while he was a psychiatrist in the University of Pennsylvania. As a result of his findings, Dr. Beck began to look to other ways of conceptualizing depression. He found that depressed patients experienced a stream of negative thoughts that seemed to arise spontaneously. He called these cognitions automatic thoughts. He found that the patient's automatic thoughts fell into three categories. The patients had negative ideas about themselves, the world, and or about the future. Dr. Beck began helping patients identify and evaluate these automatic thoughts. He found that by doing so, patients were able to think more realistically. As a result, they felt better emotionally and were able to behave more functionally. When patients changed their underlying beliefs about themselves, their world, and other people, therapy resulted in long-lasting change. Dr. Beck called this approach cognitive therapy. It has also become known as cognitive behavioral therapy. Questions for self-reflection. Like all of the other sciences, cognitive behavioral therapy is a life science that is constantly evolving in its understanding and effectiveness. What is your main reason for wanting to understand this body of information? Number 2. What experience have you had of CBT throughout your lifetime to date? Please use the comment section of this video to reflect your views. Thank you for watching. Learners can post questions or discussion topics through the video's comment section. I plan to provide in-depth training on CBT through this channel. To gain maximum, please subscribe. Do not forget to click on the bell icon to receive notifications on new training vlogs or videos. Thank you.